Float like a hummingbird, sting like a broken bone, I guess. Hi everyone, I'm Jacob. I'm the Cowhat Librarian, and I've got a good one tonight. It's by the very, very talented Natalie Lloyd, who I believe has made an appearance on this channel. I believe I did a video about her really, really fun book, A Snicker of Magic, some time back. And so definitely keep an eye out for that video. This one is Hummingbird. Olive has osteogenesis imperfecta. It means she has brittle bones. She's lived her life in a wheelchair, and nearly any fall or mishap results in a very, very painful broken bone, a long recovery time, and not a lot of options to just be an average kid. She lives with her mom and her stepdad, a coach at the local school, and her stepbrother Hatch, and her biological dad Jupiter lives in a yurt in their backyard. It's an odd living situation, but Olive feels loved and supported by every member of her family, all of them who are there all the time, and her grandfather, one of the best birders in the world. Well, Olive wants a bit of a change, though. She's been homeschooled all her life because of her brittle bones and the dangers that are inherent to going to a public school. But she's ready for a change, and she makes the case to her parents that she should get to go to the local school, the one Hatch goes to, the one her stepdad is a coach at. And she writes it in the form of a sermon. She was inspired while they were at church. And she convinces her parents to let her give it a try. And she is convinced that when she makes it to that school, she will meet her BFF for life. And so she goes to school. Hatch helps her out a little bit, but they've never really gotten along so well. It's not that Hatch is mean to her or vice versa. It's that he has friends and activities at school and does things on his own, and she does her own thing. They get along okay, but they're not especially good friends or step-siblings. So he helps get her started, and then she's assigned an aide to help her get around the school, which is a little bit silly because while Olive has brittle bones, she's been navigating in her wheelchair and through tight squeezes in it for years and years on her own. And so she starts making her way into the school community. She meets her new teachers, she meets the school librarian, she meets a number of her classmates, some nicer, some meaner, and she gradually gets the hang of things, including finding someone to be her BFF. Grace is a local entrepreneur, and she wants to start a big business all on her own. And she and Olive hit it off, and they start becoming friends. And Olive starts making connections with other kids too, including some who are involved with a play they'll be putting on later in the school year. And she's excited about this prospect. She wants to be an actress. She knows she could keep people entertained, and she'd just love a chance. So things continue on. Well, then some odd stuff starts happening in their town. There's a weird weather condition that is passed off as snow, but Olive identifies as being tiny, tiny, tiny feathers. And it's happening at the time of a blue moon, the second full moon in a calendar month. And this particular confluence of events is what happened years and years ago with the mythical hummingbird. That if people in this town see these warning signs coming on the day of the blue moon, they can find the hummingbird, and it will grant a wish for them, and they will be forever marked by a golden freckle. When Olive hears about this news, she has her wish immediately to not have brittle bones, to have bones of steel, to have bones of concrete, to have bones of iron that will let her just be an average kid. She's got it all figured out, and she and Grace make a pact that they're going to work together. They will find the hummingbird, they will both make their wishes, and whoever gets the wish, the other will be happy for them. That's it. And so they start doing their research. They do some research at the local school. They find out the people who were involved the last time the hummingbird was caught, because there were 3 of them in a group that found it. And they keep working up towards that, while Olive keeps working towards her goal of being in the school play, ultimately auditioning for a role as a bird in the play, the Bird of Joy, but also the title role of Emily Dickinson. And things keep rolling along like this for a while. It was great. If you like Natalie Lloyd's other stuff, like A Snicker of Magic, you will really enjoy Hummingbird. If you like stuff like Air by Monica Rowe, it's a little on the nose because that one also has a protagonist in a wheelchair, but the main difference is that that one was a little more grounded, a little more coming of age, and had a character who was in a wheelchair but was sort of death-defying about it, popping wheelies and riding on a ramp, whereas Olive is a little more sedate but also a little more magical. But if you enjoyed Air, I think you would quite like Hummingbird, and vice versa. It was well written. Natalie Lloyd is a talented author. Her description of Olive's battles with osteogenesis imperfecta were really, really, really compelling. And I found out when I read the author's note at the end that, in fact, Natalie Lloyd suffers from the same condition. And it was really interesting seeing it presented in such a down-to-earth way. Olive has this condition. It affects her life, but it doesn't shape who she is. There's a line at the end of the book that sums up the whole thing, and I assume it's something Natalie Lloyd has said to herself as well, and I'm very grateful she shared it with us. And here it is. My bones are fragile, but I am not. It summed it up so well. I liked it. Olive was a great character. Grace and Hatch were great characters with real motivations. It was fun. It was a Natalie Lloyd book. I recommend it. Now, there are spoilers ahead because I do have to talk about the deal breakers. So, there are sort of 2 deal breakers for this book. The first is that the story was great, and it was well written, and it ended well, but over the course of things, Olive learns more about Hatch and why he does what he does, why he's on his own so much, why he searches the woods, why he's continually rubbing at the end of a particular hoodie he wears every day. And she finds out that he has some sensory issues and that certain clothes really bug him and that hoodie feels just right. And she learns that he is a dog that was lost in a move and he has never been able to find again, and he's missed that dog so much for so long. Hatch eventually finds out about Grace and Olive's plan to be a team in search for the hummingbird, and he wants in, and he starts working with them. But when Olive suffers from a broken bone while she's rehearsing for the play, all those plans get put on hold, and she tells Hatch and Grace, go for it, we figured out the clues, go find the hummingbird, get your wish. Well, as it turns out, the hummingbird sort of visited her and Hatch in the course of things, and they made unselfish wishes for each other. He wished that she would be able to be the lead in their play at the school like she wanted. She wished that he would find his dog, and both things happened in the end. And it was heartfelt and emotional and well written and just really convenient. I'm all for happy endings. I'm all for people getting what they want. I'm all for unselfish protagonists. And Natalie Lloyd's good at writing those characters. I sometimes have trouble with magic that doesn't seem to follow the rules. And to me, the rules as laid out elsewhere in this book just didn't quite seem to jibe with how she and Hatch got their wishes granted at the end. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it did and I missed it while I was reading. It's certainly possible. But it didn't quite mesh quite as well as it could have for me. And the other thing is that while I like Natalie Lloyd's works, and I thoroughly enjoyed A Snicker of Magic, and I enjoyed Hummingbird as well, it felt like there wasn't a lot new here. The depiction of Olive's life with osteogenesis imperfecta was well done and compelling, but that aside, she really didn't seem like she was that different a character from the protagonist of A Snicker of Magic. They both head into new circumstances, one to a new school, the other to a new town, and coincidentally a new school. They find out that there are legends about the magic that have been in this place in the past, and that they go on a hunt to find the magic because it's going to make a positive change in their lives. And in the end, they do find the magic, and it doesn't do exactly what they'd hoped, but it helps them find a way towards happiness. And the characters' state of mind felt very, very similar through it too. The sort of optimistic things are sure to happen in this particular way if this happens. It felt very, very similar. It felt like once I started to read and got into Natalie Lloyd's rhythms again, that I didn't necessarily need to finish because I kind of felt like I knew how it would turn out. Some of the specifics were a little different, sure, but it, for better or worse, I think better in general, but it is a Natalie Lloyd book. If you like her other stuff, you'll probably love this. If you tried to read something like A Snicker of Magic and you weren't a big fan, I don't know that there's a lot here to bring you back for another try. And it's a shame because Natalie Lloyd is talented, but if for whatever reason you weren't into her style of writing, this one won't change your mind. That's all. Still, I recommend it. Go borrow it from your local library. And while I'm on that topic, if you use your public library and you appreciate the services it offers, why not take just 1 minute and tell the powers that be exactly that? Tell your mayor, tell a council member, tell an MP or an MLA that you use and support your local public library. We're at a time where some public libraries are having trouble finding sustainable funding to keep improving the programs and materials and services they offer to people like you and me. And a few good words in the right ears might make a world of difference. And if by some chance you're a library staff member, don't forget, watching my videos counts as professional development time. With that, thanks for listening to me talk all about this book. By all means, please like, please subscribe, and please check back and see what else I have to talk about from the Cowhat Library. Thank you. Bye now.